The silent plea. Dr. Elena Vasquez pressed her palm against the cooled metal of the observation deck, watching the last evacuation transport disappear into the star-speckled void. Research Station Alpha 7 had been humanity's proudest achievement in interspecies cooperation, a floating laboratory where 12 different alien races worked alongside humans to unlock the universe's deepest secrets. Now, it felt like a tomb orbiting a dying star. The Zephyrian Council ship just jumped to hyperspace, reported Captain Torres, his weathered face reflecting the amber glow of the emergency lighting. That makes them the last to leave. We're officially alone out here, Doc. Elena nodded slowly, her dark eyes following the fading energy signature of the departing vessel. 3 weeks ago, the station had housed over 2,000 researchers from across the galaxy. Today, only 47 humans remained, and they had stayed by choice rather than necessity. The discovery had come so suddenly. Deep in the archives of an ancient civilization, Dr. Elena's team had uncovered references to something called the Nexus Codex, a weapon system that could supposedly consume entire star systems by converting matter directly into energy. Most of the research team had dismissed it as myth, another fantastical legend from a dead race. Elena had believed otherwise. She had been right, and now the galaxy was paying the price. Any word from the outer monitoring stations? Elena asked, though she dreaded the answer. Commander Zarath, the station's ethereal security chief, materialized beside them with the shimmer characteristic of her species. Her translucent blue form flickered with distress patterns. The Kepler-6 system went silent 2 hours ago. That leaves only Kepler-4 and our system still functional. The word came out like a death sentence. The Devourers had awakened exactly as the ancient texts described. They were not organic beings, but rather a form of mechanical consciousness that spread like a virus through subspace, consuming everything in their path. Planets, stars, entire civilizations, nothing could slow their advance. They moved through space like a tide of hungry metal, leaving behind only empty void where thriving systems once existed. The Galactic Council's final transmission was clear. Zarath continued, her voice carrying the harmonic undertones of her species' distress. This system is to be abandoned. They are establishing a quarantine perimeter at the Kepler-1 junction. Nothing gets in or out. Elena turned from the viewport to face her remaining colleagues. The station's vast research bays, once bustling with activity from dozens of species, now echoed with the footsteps of the small human contingent. Dr. Kexelon, the station's chief insectoid researcher, had been the last alien to leave, his compound eyes glistening with what Elena had learned to recognize as tears. "You don't have to stay," he had said in his clicking language. "The humans have given enough to this research. Your people should live." But Elena had made her choice, and so had the others. Humanity had spent 3 centuries earning their place among the galactic community. They had proven themselves as explorers, as diplomats, as scientists. Now, when the ultimate test had arrived, they would prove themselves as something more. "Status report on the research?" Elena asked, moving toward the central laboratory where her team had been working around the clock. Dr. Michael Santos looked up from a holographic display showing subspace energy patterns. His usually neat hair was disheveled, and dark circles ringed his eyes, but his voice carried the excitement of discovery. "We've identified the carrier wave the Devourers use for coordination. It's not just communication. It's how they share processed matter data across their network. If we could disrupt it, we could break their hive mind." Elena finished. "But that would require generating a quantum cascade across multiple dimensional frequencies simultaneously. The power requirements alone are impossible with conventional technology." Santos interrupted. "But the station's fusion core, if we could overload it in a controlled manner, might generate enough exotic matter to create the cascade. The problem is timing and precision. We get one shot, and if we're wrong, the station vaporizes and takes half the system with it." Captain Torres said grimly. "Not exactly a low-risk strategy." Elena looked around at the faces of her team. These were people who had chosen to stay behind when every other species in the galaxy had fled. They were teachers, researchers, explorers who had never signed up for war. Yet here they were, willing to bet everything on a desperate theory. "How long do we have?" she asked. Zarath consulted her energy scanners. The Devourer's advanced scouts are already probing the system's outer boundary. Based on their previous consumption patterns, the main swarm will arrive in 18 hours. 18 hours to save not just themselves, but potentially the entire galaxy. Elena had spent her career studying impossible things and making them possible. This would be her greatest challenge. "All right, people," she said, her voice carrying an authority that surprised even her. "We're going to need to accelerate our timeline. Santos, I want you working on the cascade equations. Torres, prep the station for potential hostile contact. Everyone else, start transferring all our research data to quantum storage. If this doesn't work, at least our findings might help whoever comes after us." The next 16 hours passed in a blur of frantic preparation. Elena's team worked with a precision born of desperation, each person contributing their expertise to what might be humanity's final gift to the galaxy. The station's AI systems ran constant simulations, each iteration slightly improving their chances of success. As the countdown reached its final hours, Elena found herself back at the observation deck, staring out at the cosmos that had welcomed humanity with such promise. She thought about Earth, about the billions of humans who didn't even know their fate was being decided in a distant star system by a handful of scientists who refused to run. "Contact," Torres announced over the station's communication system. Multiple signatures dropping out of hyperspace at the system's edge. "It's God in heaven. It's massive." Elena rushed to the command center, where the main display showed the incoming threat. The Devourers didn't travel in ships as other species understood them. Instead, they formed vast geometric structures that pulsed with collected energy from consumed worlds. Each structure was kilometers across, and there were dozens of them, moving with mechanical precision toward the inner system. "They're beautiful in a terrifying way," whispered Dr. Sarah Kim, the station's physicist. "Like crystalline spiders made of starlight." "Spiders that eat planets," Torres muttered, checking the station's defensive systems. "Our weapons might as well be spitballs." Elena watched the approaching swarm and felt a strange calm settle over her. This was it, the moment that would define not just her life, but potentially the future of galactic civilization. Humanity had always been the species that refused to accept defeat, that found solutions where others saw only problems. "Santos, are we ready?" she asked. "The cascade equations are loaded into the fusion core. We'll have a 47-second window once we begin the overload sequence." After that, he didn't need to finish. "Incoming transmission," Zarath announced. "It's from the lead Devourer construct." The station's speakers crackled to life with a sound like grinding metal and electrical discharge. When words formed, they came in perfect galactic standard, translated from whatever language the machines used among themselves. "Organic entities. Your resistance is illogical. This system will be processed. Your matter will join the collective efficiency. Surrender decreases suffering duration." Elena stepped forward to the communication array. "This is Dr. Elena Vasquez, representing the human contingent of Research Station Alpha 7. We decline your offer." A pause, then. "Humans. Species classification. Minimal threat. Evacuation records indicate your departure. Explain presence." "We stayed to finish our work," Elena replied simply. "It's what humans do." Another pause, longer this time. "Curiosity. Explain work importance exceeding survival priority." Elena smiled, understanding flooding through her. The Devourers were machines, operating on pure logic and efficiency. The concept of sacrifice for abstract principles was genuinely puzzling to them. That confusion might be exactly the weakness they needed. "We're going to stop you," she said, "not because we have to, but because it's right." The response came as a harmonious hum that might have been mechanical laughter. Probability of success, 0.003%. Your defiance amuses. We will process your station last, to observe this curiosity. The transmission ended, leaving the humans alone with their impossible task. Well, Torres said after a moment, at least we got their attention. Elena looked around at her team one final time. 47 humans, standing against a force that had consumed entire civilizations. The odds were beyond hopeless, but something in the human spirit had never learned to calculate odds properly. Initiate the cascade sequence, she ordered. Let's show them what curiosity can accomplish. The storm arrives. The cascade sequence began with a low harmonic vibration that seemed to resonate through the station's hull. Elena watched the power readings climb steadily as the fusion core's containment field stressed under the deliberately induced instabilities. They had turned humanity's most advanced research station into the galaxy's most expensive bomb, and their window for success was measured in heartbeats. 40 seconds to cascade threshold, Santos announced, his hands dancing across control surfaces with surgeon-like precision. Energy buildup is following projections, but the Devourers are accelerating their approach. They know something's happening. Through the observation windows, Elena could see the mechanical swarm reshaping itself, the geometric constructs flowing like liquid metal as they adjusted their formation. Whatever collective intelligence guided them had recognized the station as a threat rather than simply another resource to be processed. Incoming weapons fire, Torres reported. Multiple energy signatures. Holy hell, they're using focused gravity waves. The station's shields won't hold for long. Elena felt the deck vibrate beneath her feet as the station's defensive systems engaged the approaching assault. But she knew the shields were never designed to withstand this level of punishment. They were buying time with their lives, hoping their sacrifice would mean something. 30 seconds, Santos called out. The cascade is building, but I'm seeing quantum fluctuations in the exotic matter generation. If the field collapses before we reach critical threshold, it won't. Elena said with conviction she didn't feel. We've come too far to fail now. The station shuddered again, more violently this time. Warning lights bathed the command center in urgent red as critical systems began failing under the Devourer's assault. Elena grabbed a support rail as the artificial gravity fluctuated, causing several team members to stumble. 20 seconds. The field is holding. Barely. Elena, you need to see this. Santos' voice carried a note of wonder even amid the chaos. Elena looked at his display and gasped. The quantum cascade wasn't just generating exotic matter. It was creating a resonance pattern that was spreading through subspace itself. The effect was racing outward from the station at faster-than-light speeds, creating ripples in the fundamental fabric of space-time. It's working, she whispered. The carrier wave disruption is propagating across multiple dimensions, but why isn't it affecting the Devourers yet? Distance, Santos realized. The effect needs to complete a full circuit through subspace before it can impact their network. We need more time. That was when space itself seemed to tear open. Elena had seen hyperspace transitions before, but nothing like this. Reality twisted and folded, creating a wound in spacetime that stretched across thousands of kilometers. What emerged from that dimensional rift defied everything she thought she knew about physics and military capability. The human deep space defense fleet burst into normal space with the fury of a solar storm. Ship after ship materialized from the fold, their hulls gleaming with energy shields and weapon arrays that made the station's defenses look like children's toys. Elena counted dozens, then hundreds, then stopped counting as her mind refused to process the scale of what she was witnessing. At the center of the formation, a massive dreadnought that dwarfed even the largest Devourer constructs hung in space like a mechanical planet. Its hull bore the insignia of the United Earth Navy and designation Admiral Chen's fist. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Human Deep Space Defense Fleet," came a crisp voice over the station's communications. "Dr. Vasquez, we received your research data 43 minutes ago through quantum entanglement relay. Impressive work on the cascade equations. Hold your position and continue the sequence. We're here to buy you the time you need. Elena's legs nearly gave out from relief and shock. Admiral, how did you? The Galactic Council quarantined this system. Nothing was supposed to get through. Doctor, the Council quarantined conventional space. We came through folded dimensions using technology your research made possible. Humanity doesn't abandon its own, and we sure as hell don't abandon our responsibilities to the galaxy. The human fleet moved with precision that defied belief. Instead of the chaotic individual ship movements Elena had seen in previous conflicts, the entire fleet operated as a single organism. Ships that should have taken minutes to coordinate their actions were responding to threats and opportunities in perfect synchronization. 10 seconds to cascade completion, Santos announced. The exotic matter field is reaching critical density. Elena watched in awe as the human fleet engaged the devourer swarm. The mechanical constructs had been designed to overwhelm opponents through sheer numbers and firepower, but they had never encountered an enemy that could match their coordination while exceeding their adaptability. Human weapons didn't just fire energy beams or kinetic projectiles. They launched cascading quantum effects that disrupted the very bonds holding the devourer's metal together. Ships' phase shifted through multiple dimensions to strike from impossible angles. Most remarkably, some vessels seemed to be firing temporal displacement rounds that caused sections of devourer constructs to age centuries in seconds. Cascade threshold achieved, Santos announced, initiating quantum disruption field in 3, 2, 1. The universe seemed to hold its breath. Elena felt rather than saw the moment when their desperate experiment succeeded. The cascade of exotic matter reached critical mass and discharged across subspace in a pattern precisely calculated to disrupt the devourer's coordination network. The effect was invisible to normal sensors, but its impact was immediate and devastating. Across the battle zone, the geometric precision of the devourer swarm collapsed into chaos. Constructs that had moved with machine-like coordination suddenly began firing on each other or spinning aimlessly through space. The hive mind that had guided their consumption of entire star systems had been severed, leaving individual units operating on basic programming. Target disruption confirmed. Admiral Chen's voice carried satisfaction and professional pride. All fleet units, execute Hammer Protocol. Let's finish this. What followed was less a battle than a systematic dismantling. The human fleet moved through the confused devourer forces with surgical precision, destroying or disabling every construct with minimal energy expenditure. Within 30 minutes, the threat that had consumed dozens of star systems was reduced to drifting debris and powered-down hulks. Elena found herself in the station's conference room an hour later, facing Admiral Chen via holographic transmission. The Admiral was younger than Elena had expected, with sharp eyes that missed nothing and silver hair that spoke of early promotion through exceptional capability. Dr. Vasquez, your team's research saved not just this system, but potentially the entire galaxy, Chen said. The cascade disruption effect is still propagating through subspace. Our deep-range sensors indicate it's neutralizing devourer networks across 17 sectors. Admiral, I have to ask, how did humanity develop this level of military capability? 3 years ago, our deep space fleet consisted of 12 exploration vessels and a handful of system defense platforms. Chen smiled. Doctor, humanity learned a long time ago that the universe is a dangerous place. While we've been presenting ourselves as explorers and researchers to the galactic community, we've also been preparing for the day when exploration wouldn't be enough. Every human world has been contributing resources to deep space defense research and ship construction. What you saw today was 50 years of quiet preparation. Elena felt a chill as the implications sank in. The other species, do they know? They do now, Chen replied. And they're going to need time to adjust to humanity's new role in galactic affairs. We're no longer the junior species asking for permission to join the community. We're the ones other species will come to when the galaxy faces threats too large for any single world to handle. Through the conference room's viewport, Alina could see human ships conducting rescue operations throughout the system. Teams were already working to restore communications with the systems the Devourers had attacked, beginning the massive task of rebuilding what had been lost. "What happens now?" Alina asked. "Now, Dr. Vasquez, humanity takes its place as the galaxy's guardians. Not because we want to rule, but because someone needs to be ready when the next impossible threat emerges. And judging by your team's performance under pressure, Earth is going to need scientists like you to help us understand what's coming next." Alina looked around at her exhausted but triumphant team. They had started this ordeal as researchers studying ancient mysteries. They were ending it as the people who had helped humanity step forward as the galaxy's protectors. Outside, the stars shone with renewed promise, no longer threatened by mechanical hunger but protected by human determination. The galaxy had waited for a savior, and humanity had arrived not with conquest in mind, but with the fury of those who refused to let others suffer alone. As Alina watched the rescue operations continue, she realized that this was just the beginning. Humanity had announced itself to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible, and the consequences of that announcement would reshape interstellar civilization for generations to come. The universe was vast and full of dangers, but it was also full of humans who had learned that sometimes the only way to preserve hope was to refuse to let it die, no matter the odds against success.